Hi Bina, have you visited Madame Camaria's house yesterday?
She has a really beautiful house with a mesmerizing view.
Wow, you must be fairly happy to be there. I was planning to join you but I couldn't due to dozens of assignments that I need to submit. And also because the examination date is just around the corner. By the way, have you seen the cows and goats that she spoke about in our semantic class?
The cows and goats are quite huge and I'm pretty sure people will be queuing to buy them for Kurban.
Yeah, I believe she'll make a huge profit this time around, but do you think she'll be able to sell them all this year?
I cannot wait to celebrate Eid al-Adha this year because I really want to flex my new attire.
Alright then. You must be homesick and I totally get that. Well, I guess I'll see you around, Bina.
To explain about the dialogue just now, the Grecian theory, the Maxim of Relations, is being portrayed in the conversation between Govin and Bina. Maxim of Relations is saying things that are related to the subject of your conversation. Hence, we can see that Bina violated and flouted the maxim a few times. Flouting happens when a person is not being concise, using complex words, disorganized, and creating confusion in his or her words. Meanwhile, violating means someone tries to violate the conversation by saying things that is out of context. Bina has violated the maxim of quality when she talks about Dr. Kamaria's house view, when Govin actually asked if she had visited Dr. Kamaria's house earlier. She also violated the maxim of quantity when she explains too much about the size of the cows and goats and did not actually answer Govin's question if she had seen the farm animals. She provided less information than expected from Govin. Lastly, she violated the maxim of relation where she talked about her intention to show off her new attire on Eid al-Adha when Govin asked her opinion on Dr. Kamaria's farm animals. So from the very beginning, she has strayed from the conversation's topic. She replied indirectly about Dr. Kamaria's house view to indicate that she already went there. Their conversation was lacking continuity because it centered more to Bina and she did not reciprocate talking about the upcoming exams and about the sales of the farm animals. Instead, she goes off topic by talking about her longing to celebrate Eid al-Adha and flexing her new attire.
From the conversation, we can clearly see that Bina violated the maxim by saying something off topic. She changed the topic of conversation without fully responding to the questions asked by Win in a correct manner. This conversation also violated what has been taught in Islam, which requires us to always make our speech simple, clear, and avoiding difficult words that may lead to fitna or misunderstanding. There is clearly no reason for us to use eloquent language or complicated words when no one understands and should always avoid hurtful words that put down others, because the Prophet ﷺ hates this kind of talk. The Prophet ﷺ said in a fair hadith reported by Imam at-Tirmidhi, "The people whom I hate the most and who are the farthest from me on the day of judgment are those who talk uselessly and those who put down others and those who shows off when they talk." From the conversation of Win and Bina, we can clearly see that Bina tries to manipulate Win's speech by saying what she thinks matters to her and at the same time hurting Win to the point he feels annoyed and leaves the conversation all at once. Besides, she also said about showing off her new attire, which is clearly against what is taught in Islam. As mentioned in a hadith by Sahih Muslim, he who wants to publicize his deeds, Allah will publicize his humility, and he who makes a hypocritical display of his deeds, Allah will make a display of him.
Lastly, I will be presenting the relations between the maxim of relevance and good morals as proposed in Christianity. According to the Ten Commandments, "Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor." Being honest as described in this particular maxim is also portrayed throughout several chapters in the Bible. These teachings would highlight the importance of being pertinent, as it is our moral duty to be relevant and not sway into false discussions with others. In the book of Zechariah, chapter 8, verse 16, "They are things that ye shall do. Speak ye every man the truth to his neighbor. Execute the judgment of truth and peace in your gates." In Christianity, this verse taught us to be relevant in delivering information, as this will establish peace among society and repels conflicts due to falsehood. Similar to Grace's Maxim of Relation, where a person tries to be pertinent when engaged in a conversation and avoids the violation of maxims. Another example can be seen in the book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 22. It is stated that lying lips are abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. This verse correlates with the Maxim of Relation by emphasizing the moral obligation of being sincere. If we are conveying false information to others, the potential of creating conflicts is high, as they will soon find out the delivered information is not precise. However, this depends on the morality and attitudes of the speaker, whether to obey or contravene the maxims, as long as the hearer can identify the type of maxim being flouted and know the hidden meaning of the message. Research on cooperative principles by Ededun and Mikiliwa 2010 also indicates that there is a flouting of maxims in the speaker's intention of delivering misleading implicature. Therefore, Christians are encouraged to be truthful and relevant during conversations, as it has been inscribed in the Ten Commandments.
Maxim of relation is an exchange info that meet the goals of the conversation. According to Ali Suleiman Awad et al., Grice has pointed out that the use of maxim of relation is for you to be relevant when you in a conversation. Easy to say, the maxim of relation is where one tries to be relevant and say things that have connection to the discussion. Next is floating and violating of the maxim of relation. So floating maxim of relation is when speaker in a communication fail to follow the relevant maxim. They are making irrelevant an assertion. Typically, the speaker are irrelevant or inconsequential. The floating maxim happens when the participant does not want to answer the question based on the topic. Meanwhile, violating the maxim is done by the speaker to have a misleading implication. And for example, this sort of utterance can be found in many contexts, such as governmental discourses and disputes or in advertisement. To understand more about this maxim of relation and the floating and violating, please watch the next clip.
Guys, I got a this bill. Give me up.
Shh! Be quiet, Shell. We are studying here.
What the rush, Shell? Guys, but you won't regret this. I just met with some new guy. I thought she already had a boyfriend. But this guy seems a bit taller and younger. Might really got bad taste in guys, don't you think? You guys are listening or not?
We are trying to study here, Michelle.
It's okay if you don't want to hear. Nisa will, right, Nisa?
Let's play a game. Whoever silent is the winner. Okay.
Hey, that's a bit rude. You guys, hear me out. You guys.
As we can see from the previous act, Michelle is trying to interrupt Lisa and Kalisa's study. When Michelle asks them a question, Lisa didn't answer her question but instead trying to end the conversation. It shows that Lisa does not want to further speaking about the same topic or try to change the topic.
Okay, let us finish our revision first.
Nisa, just stop studying. Hear me out. The exam can wait, right?
Kalisa, I'm hungry. Let's go and get some food.
Sure, let's go. Hey guys, wait up. I haven't finished my story yet.
Nisa conveys an irrelevant answer to Michelle's question as she is trying to avoid Michelle furthering the conversation. It showed that Nisa is violating the Grice's maxim of relation.
Guys, wait up.
Okay, now you can tell us the story.
Wait, Matt is with someone else. That's what I'm trying to say this whole time. You guys did not pay attention.
So? Shell, let her be. We should not be gossiping about her. She's our friend.
Yeah, true. It's a sin for us to badmouth other people. Perhaps we don't know. Maybe that's her cousin.
I agree. Oh, I have read about this one hadith this morning. Okay, let me find it first. Oh, it say the Prophet Muhammad said, "Do you know what is ghibah?" The companion said, "Allah and His Messenger know better." Okay, thereupon he said, "Ghibah is talking about your Muslim brother in a manner which he dislikes." They was said to him, "What if my Muslim brother is as I say?" He said, "If he actually as you say, then that is ghibah. But if that is not in him, that is fitnah." Okay, Shen?
Okay guys, bye. As we saw in the previous act, Nisa and Kalisa are listening to Michelle's story. Kalisa and Nisa responded directly to her story, stating that they should not gossip about their friend. They also used the hadith as a relevant point to stop Michelle from talking about Matt. However, at the end of the conversation, Michelle violated the relevance maxim by purposefully changing the subject.
We can conclude that the maxim of relation is critical while we are having a conversation. This is due to the fact that in a discourse, every piece of information must be linked to another. And we can see that the facts are required when responding to a planned continuation of the dialogue. The evidence in the previous clips revealed that if the question is answered with incorrect information and not relevant, the conversation will terminate abruptly. This signifies that they are violating and flouting the maxim of relation.
And then, bro, she found out.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
I know, right?
Shahira, I'm quite bored.
No, actually, me too. You know what? How about we go to Shuhada's house?
Let's go to Shuhada's house.
Right now.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum, Shuhada.
Assalamualaikum.
I think Shuhada is not around. As a Muslim, we cannot give salam more than 3 times. Let's go.
Assalamualaikum.
Shahira, as a Muslim, you should not be at Shuhada's house. It's rude.
I'm hungry.
Hi Shahira, hi Hazira. Please come in.
Wow, Shuhada, you have such a nice wardrobe. Is this yours?
Hazira, as a Muslim, I don't think it's proper to touch someone's belongings.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I know, right? It is so funny. I told you before, right, Shahada? Aduh. I'm so hungry. I want a Pizza Hut.
Shahira, don't you think it's quite late now?
Oh no, it's already 10 p.m. I'm so sorry, Shuhada. Okay, you know what? Let's go. I want to go home right now.
Thank you, Shuhada, for treating us nicely as your guest.
See you again. Bye-bye.
Communication is a medium to convey meaning from one to another. According to you, 2006, Communication involves word recognition and meaning recognition. There could be hidden intentions in some utterance. Failing to recognize those intentions may lead to misunderstanding and even a dispute. Dealing with language and communication, cooperative principles proposed by Greece serve as means to achieve effective communication. Greece elaborates 4 conventional maxims, which is Maxim of Relations, Maxim of Quantity, Maxim of Quality, and Maxim of Manner. However, I will only focus on explaining the Maxim of Relations in this video. Hence, Greece proposed Maxim of Relations as an explanation for a certain kind of regularity in conversational behavior with respect to the relevance of information provided at each turn of a conversation. In a simple word, Maxim of Relation is where one tries to be relevant and says things that are pertinent to the discussion. However, the floating of the maxim may occur in daily life or in movies. Floating a maxim is the case when a speaker purposely disobeys a maxim at the level of what is said with the deliberate intentions or generating an implication. To further discuss the example of maxims of relations, I will give an explanation based on the video shown. For the first situation, Shahira knocks on Shuhada's house more than 3 times and Nazira advised her not to do so as a Muslim. However, she keeps on knocking, showing the floating of maxim as she ignores the advice. Moving on to the second situation, Shahira keeps on peeping at Shuhada's house even though Nazira advised her not to do so. Thus, she showed another floating of maxim by changing the subject of the conversation which is not related to the topic. For situation 3, Nazira shows the maxim of relations as she contributes to what is relevant for the purpose of the conversation as she listens to Shuhada's advice, which is not to touch others' belongings without permission. For the last situation, Shahira understood Shuhada's point and decided to leave because it was quite late. Thus, Shahira's contribution abides by the maxim of relations since a direct and appropriate answer to the question is given.